Hi there everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another episode of Should You Pull for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Now this week, this month in general, there is a lot coming this month, hard and fast. We've got banner after banner after banner after banner, so we're going to have to pick and choose between some of these, but this time around in the video we're going to be talking about Porom EX as well as Palom and Yang, as they're going to be coming out with Porom's event this weekend, or this at the end of this week, and it's going to be an interesting one to see whether this character is worth pulling for, because I think, obviously not spoiling the end of the video too much, but I think that this one is very dependent on what you already have as to whether it's worth pulling for or not. So if you'd like to find out more about Porom and her banner mates and everything to do with her, then stay tuned and keep on watching. Don't forget to check out all of the social links in the description box below, including my Facebook, Twitter, Twitch channel, which I shall leave the schedule for on the right hand side just here for you now, Discord, Patreon and all that good stuff. I do quickly want to mention that I won't be able to do any streaming this weekend, so this Friday or Monday, because I'm going to be in Seville this weekend for Final Fantasy TCG Fan Festa. So obviously don't be too upset if I'm away for that particular weekend. Don't forget to check out DissidiaDB.com for all of your Opera Omnia needs in terms of resources, and of course don't forget to check out all of the other Opera Omnia content creators, as all of us work really hard and appreciate all the views that we get from you guys. So it's worth pointing out before continuing on with the video that I don't, as far as I'm aware, so I pray that I'm not wrong on this one, but I don't believe that Palom nor Yang will get their level 70 awakenings with Porom's event. Just Porom is going to come in at level 70. That being said, it's very simple to sum up what I think of Yang and whether you should pull on the banner based on him. No. Palom's a little bit more of a murky one because he doesn't come back very often, and while he doesn't come with his EX this time around, which is a big hamper to whether you'd want to pull for him or not, because without his EX he is very lackluster, but there are going to be people out there that picked up his EX the first time around, or the time it came or anything like that, and maybe didn't max out his 15 and 35 because they didn't have the resources. So if you happen to get his stuff that way, then it's a nice bonus. But if you have him, if you have his 15 and 35 and his 60 awakening, he has AoE Brave HP attacks, which is kind of nice. So he can be useful for farming, but outside of that, I really don't think that you're going to be pulling on this banner for Palom somehow. But Porom is like a decent character, so if you happen to get some of Palom's stuff along the way, then so be it. So let's talk about Porom. Now, Porom is a quirky and interesting character that has mechanics that literally no other character in the game has, even up to this point in JP, so she's definitely worth at least looking at to some extent. Now, Porom is purely a support unit. Like, she is not a damage dealer in any way. All of her stuff is built around support. Or both of her abilities don't do HP damage, they are just battery-based abilities that grant auras, buffs, and debuffs, but those auras, buffs, and debuffs can actually be very potent. Her Cry ability will inflict a half-decent defense down if you have all of the gear for it, so the passive and the everything that you need to have it as best as it can be, and it'll actually do a 60% max defense down to your opponent's party, which is nice, though I will just quickly say, be cautious about Cry, because the noise that she makes when she does it makes you want to punch her. It's really irritating, just to put that forward right now. But it also, obviously, batteries the party, which is really nice, and then Light Arts, or Power of White Magic as it's otherwise known, also gives her a nice little party buff for attack, which is great, because it's an aura-based one. And then while that's active, she also gets a Brave Attack Plus, which is a standard Brave Attack Plus that raises it for a really support character anyway, that raises the party's bravery based on max bravery. And then if you have a 15 CP weapon, it'll also, when you hit Cry Plus, which is after you've used it once already, it has a low probability of inflicting confusion to enemies' return. Now, confusion is unique to Porom as it currently stands, and might as well function like a paralysis. Your opponent's basically going to lose their next turn. So the chance of that happening is pretty nice. It's just a shame that you don't get like 10 uses of Cry in order to make the best out of it. So you've just got, you want to get that Cry Plus going as frequently as possible, because it's going to, battery your party, inflict defense down that's half decent to your opponent's party, raise your party's attack power, and then a possibility your opponent's skipping their next turn, which is always nice. And then Dissidia Brilliance, which is the other part of her kit that is completely unique to her, is a healing ability. It's single target, upsettingly, but her EX does make up for this. That grants a large amount of bravery if you overheal, so that's quite common in healer spells. Like, if you overheal, then the excess HP gets converted to bravery. But you get quite a lot of bravery out of it if they're at max HP already, if you have the 60 passive, if you have the 35 CP weapon, and then obviously the spell itself. It also grants a stack of Wisdom of White Magic, or Light Wisdom as it's written here, which raises party's max bravery, which is great. And then once that's done, you get Dissidia Brilliance Plus, which actually restores more health, but it also grants HP damage reduction to a target for 2 turns. So if you have the 60 passive, then it grants more. It grants more bravery. It improves the HP damage reduction to a point where you're taking 70% less HP damage for those 2 turns, which is really quite nice. And then her HP attack becomes an HP attack plus, which raises all allies' bravery based on the amount of HP damage that she deals. So it actually comes after she's dealt damage, which is great because she, buffs everyone. She batteries bravery so much that she needs somewhere to sink it. And then obviously if you have the 35 CP weapon, it raises the HP limit, it extends the duration of Light Wisdom, and it improves the effect of HP damage reduction further. Like I said, if you have all of the passives and stuff for it, then you get a 70% HP damage reduction. So in terms of defensive healer support characters, there's no one quite like Porom. And then her EX as well does make up for the fact that a lot of her stuff is single target as well. Now, Porom's EX weapon is pretty integral to her kit, as with most characters nowadays. If you want a character, you're more than likely going to need that character's EX as well. But White Wave is a very interesting skill that doesn't actually do damage to your opponent at all, except for the HP attack. So it doesn't do bravery damage at all. It restores your party's HP slightly. It can overflow up to 120% max HP, which is quite unique. It's an overflow for your HP, which is unusual. Raises her bravery, does an HP attack, and it raises all allies' bravery based on the damage dealt, so similar to an HP attack plus, and then extends the duration of both of her unique buffs as well. So she's pretty much always going to be able to keep her buffs up at all times, which is great because they're basically party auras. But when you get to her limit break abilities, she's going to have White Wave Buff Plus at the second rate, which grants the HP damage reduction to your whole party for 2 turns after using White Wave. Now this is an absolutely fantastic skill to have access to. It's weird because there's other characters that can do similar things in terms of defense, but no one quite does the same thing as Porom that outright just says, I'm taking less damage. So you know those times where you get a boss suddenly gain a ridiculous amount of initial bravery out of nowhere and then suddenly HP attack you and kills one of your characters? Very, very unlikely to happen while you have Porom in your party. Like, she's not going to help you get a massive score on any one stage because she's quite slow as a character. She doesn't deal loads of damage. She doesn't deal damage while she's doing a lot of the things that she does, except for her EX skill. But what she does do is make it so your party just doesn't die very quickly. So in events like Chaos or Early Chaos, where it doesn't really matter what your turn count is as long as you clear the event, you're going to get a lot of mileage out of Porom. Her EX Plus is actually quite interesting as well. We won't get that for a little while yet, but she basically just gets... She can raise the max HP overflow limit, which is great. She'll gain bravery into an overflow limit, which is great. She then can do... She just does a little bit more damage, which she sorely needs. She also gets a third unique passive, which raises the max bravery overflow limit and raises any HP recovery that you might have for your party, which is Secrets of White Magic. And then that extent, and when using White Wave, she gets that, so she gets a unique buff out of all of her skills at this point. And then she also can raise the max brave overflow of any gain bravery that she gets, and it turns into an AoE attack. It's splash damage, but so it's not amazing, but it's still decent. And then she gets a Brave Attack plus plus and an HP Attack plus plus, which are just obviously stronger versions of themselves. And then I did want to quickly point out as well, the fact that she's level 70, she does actually get a command ability that's quite useful, which is HP Heal Attack All. Slightly raises party attack, slightly restores party HP, and then obviously no turn delay, all that good stuff that comes with level 70 passives. But she also gets an absolute bugger ton of party auras. So Busybody raises party speed while buffed. And then White Mage's Talent raises party max bravery and attack while buffed. And then she gets another one. She gets Resonant Defense, raises party defense by 30%. So in all, she's like buffing basically everybody's stats pretty heavily just by being there. She's very similar to Rosa, but as opposed to Rosa that's all about brave repair and just making sure your stats are big, and she does do a little bit of damage while she's at it, Porom is purely support. She is a healer through and through. She is there to make your party survive, and that is what her role is. Now, Porom won't be coming back for a little while after this time. She won't be coming back till her lost chapter, as far as I can tell. And her lost chapter comes at a really awkward time, just like this one, to be honest. It's going to come out, like, just after General Leo, who's a very popular character in JP, Galuf, who's also very popular in JP, Shadow and Hope and Lightning Banner, which is also going to be a massively popular one. So Porom's in a weird situation when it comes to should you pull for her or not, because I think that it entirely depends on what you have access to already. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you have access to, say, Lena, Rosa, or Y'shtola, then her viability is definitely going to be diminished, because you're not going to find room for her, or you'll find room for her right now, but as soon as Y'shtola's EX Plus comes around, or her level 70 Awakening and Rework, you're probably going to use Y'shtola because she has infinite uses on her skills thanks to her rework and her getting skill uses back from Pulse of Life. And then when Rosa comes back, she starts healing on top of everything else that she does with her kit, and she's a lot more offensively geared. And then when she comes back again for a lost chapter, everyone's going to be after Hope, everyone's going to be after General Leo, everyone's going to be after Shadow. There's a lot of characters around Porom that kind of shunt her to the side slightly, but she's not to be underestimated because she has a kit that is completely unique to her. There's like no one else that can do the Brave 8 or the HP attack reduction that she can do, so your survivability will go up exponentially just for having her. But is she necessary? Like I said, she's not gonna increase your score for anything like that requires a high score requirement, because she is quite slow. She's not a damage dealer. She's not going to be able to do a lot of damage to your opponents except through her EX ability, and her crying doesn't do HP damage, her Dissidia's Brilliance doesn't do HP damage, so anytime you're using a skill uses, you're just making your other party members better. So sticking her with another support character is just going to make your party too slow, unless they're named Warrior of Light, or Sarah maybe. But then damage dealers, you're going to need to have really high damage dealers over the course of time in order to be able to kind of push forward in general, otherwise your score requirement's going to suffer. But like I said, Chaos generally doesn't require any big score requirements, it just requires you to clear it. But obviously, if your turn count gets too high, then that can be a problem, and Porom eats turns like nobody else does. So once again, I do want to say a quick thank you to Ingwelder and the Tom Retreat for their lovely infographics here. We have one here for Porom, and as you can see, like, it just breaks down all the numbers and everything that you need to know. So do pause the video if you want to have a quick look at that. But obviously, I mean, when it comes to artifacts, she has a Crystal 50 passive that buffs her party members. You're going to want to max that out first. And then her max bravery is going to be pretty important, because attack's not going to be any use to her whatsoever, and a lot of her stuff scales off of her bravery that she that she gains. It's all going to be percentage based, so max bravery is going to be very, very important for her. And then, as it says in the little notes at the bottom there, there's no one quite like Porom, so that's definitely a plus in her book. There's no one who does the same things as she does. And her auras and defensive buffs and defense debuffs, they're really strong. Like, you know, Rosa's really well known for her buffs and stuff, and then Sarah's really known for doing buffs and debuffs at the same time, and then that works out really well. So, you know, there's no reason why Porom couldn't do the same thing. But she's, like it says in the notes there, and as I said earlier, she's so support based that your turn count is just going to go up because she's not doing damage, and that's going to really hamper your scores for various score requirements. And because she does no damage, it means that whoever's in the party needs to pick up the slack for her not dealing damage in order for your opponent to really suffer from having her in the party. So ultimately, do I think that this banner is worth pulling on for Porom? Because you're certainly not going to be pulling on it for Palom or Yang. I think it depends entirely on what you already have access to. Do you have any of the following characters? Sarah, Rosa, Y'shtola, or Lena? If you have two or more of those characters, no, I wouldn't pull on this banner. I don't think you need it. Certainly if you have Lena. Lena does very similar things. She's a purely defensive support character that does something unique in warding off debuffs like a ribbon effect, and so therefore you've kind of got that base covered, and she can at least do some damage while she's at it. If you've got Rosa, then Rosa's not a special now, but when she gets her EX+, she does literally everything that you'd want her to do that Porom is doing, and then some. And then Y'shtola, if you have her EX, she's not going to be much use now, but she's going to be really useful later on. And then the same goes for Sarah. Sarah's in the same boat pool as Lena right now, whereas if you have her, you've got a battery that you're going to be using up until Chaos anyway. If you only have one of those characters, then I would consider pulling for Porom because she's unique and she lasts into the early Chaos era. She is a character that's viable for it, but just be cautious of the fact that she's not going to be so useful for anything that has a score requirement as much. And then if you have none of those characters, then yes, I would definitely pull for Porom because you're going to want someone with a support level as high as those characters. And Porom definitely keeps up with them, but she doesn't exceed any of them as far as I'm concerned. There are a lot of players out there who I'm sure will disagree with me and who say that, like, oh, the uniqueness of her kit is worth looking at, and you're absolutely right. The uniqueness of her kit is absolutely worth looking at. But her banner is really bad, and she's being released both now and when her Lost chapter comes out at really awkward times when there's other characters that need to take precedence. So this month, like, a lot of people are going to want to pull for Noctis if they haven't already. A lot of people are going to want to grab Ramza if they haven't already. Pain is looking relatively popular. Porom kind of just sits in this weird place where she's good, but do you really need her? So I probably won't be pulling for her, but if you guys do, then she's certainly not a bad character to pull on. She's definitely worth having in your roster. She's just not a character I would go out of your way for if you have other support options. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that this has given you some advice on whether you think you should pull for Porom or not. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Porom. If you managed to get her, then what you think of her kit, and if you're looking to pull for her, I wish you the best of luck to everybody. Don't forget to check out all my social media links, and obviously don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. So that's going to be it from me, and I shall see you guys soon. Bye!